got a law degree, went to the University of San Francisco, and I practiced law for about 3 years. I never really had any intention of practicing law when I went to law school. I thought it would be a great degree to have, because I'm more interested in policy work. It's a funny thing, when you go to law school, they kind of beat into your head that you're going to be a lawyer. I guess I should have realized that. So anyhow, I practiced law for 3 years and realized I really hated it. I decided to go back to school and concentrate more on the policy aspect. So I went to the Evans School at UW and got my master's in public administration. So my interest was in policy work, and so a management analyst position opened up here in the city manager's office. And management analyst is kind of like a policy analyst, management analyst. You do a lot of work on policy issues with the council and with the city manager, but then you also do work on kind of organizational work on how the city internally operates and work with the city manager on those issues. So it's kind of along the line of what I really wanted to do, policy aspect of it, yeah. Working with the community and building a community. And what intrigued me about Shoreline is that it was a relatively new city, so there's a lot of new things going on, kind of organizing the city, and a lot of exciting new projects were going on, so that appealed to me. That's kind of what drew me to Shoreline. Yeah, it's definitely helped, I think. So my original position I applied for was management analyst, which does a lot of policy work, which also ties into a lot of legal work, reading code. So yeah, it definitely helped in getting this position. I manage a communications program, and I'm also the public information officer. Essentially, we used to have a communications person, and she left, and during budget cuts, you know, more people just take on more of the duties that other people have. Right. You don't hire new people. So basically, one of my new duties became managing the communications program, and that's pretty much what I do most of the time now, as opposed to the policy work. And the reason for that is that my law, you know, when you go to law school and you practice law, you do a ton of writing. I mean, that's what you do as a lawyer, write. So I became pretty good at writing, and also in my master's program, I got even better at writing. So the city manager realized that, you know, I was really good at that, really good at communication, and so she thought I'd be great for that position. So one of the things that I had to get used to is that as a lawyer, or when you're writing for academic work, you have to start, you know, with common writing of laying out the story, and you build up to it, and you finally get to what you need to, you know, where you need to go. So you lay out all these facts, and all these points, and all this stuff. Whereas when you're doing press releases, you have to basically lay out everything in that first paragraph. So if no one reads anything beyond that first paragraph, they have to be able to understand what's going on. So you take all that stuff that usually it takes you several paragraphs, or maybe a couple even pages to build up to. You have to get that all in the first paragraph.
And have it make sense.
Yeah, and have it make sense, exactly. Because a lot of people disagree with what you're doing, you know.
Right.
A lot of people disagree with what the council's doing, so you have to explain to them why you're doing it. So you have to lay that story out, why you're doing it, and why the council believes it's in the city's best interest to move forward, even though they understand that a lot of people won't be happy with what you're doing. And that can be, you know, that can be difficult a lot of times, you know. Some issues are a lot easier because a lot of issues are pretty black and white, and it makes sense. Everyone would see it. But other issues, I mean, there really is legitimate 50-50 split, and it's really hard to, you know, if the council's on that 52% who want it one way, it's going to be kind of hard to convince the 48% as to why you're doing it. So you have to appreciate their views and make sure that their views are acknowledged in whatever you're writing, at the same time pushing the view of the city or the city council. So like as an attorney, you're also, all your writing is to convince the judge of your position. So you're basically, for lack of a better word, trying to destroy the other side, discredit the other side. Whereas for city writing, you don't want to do that. You don't want to discredit half of your population.
No pissing
you have to, exactly. So you have to acknowledge the value of what they're bringing. So yeah, for that it's also a little different, which I actually enjoy that writing a lot better than being a lawyer where you have to basically
destroy the other side.
Destroy the other side. Yeah. It depends.
For what I do, probably not as much. You'll learn a lot of what I do on the job, and there's a lot of different degrees that can help you out and get you to where you want to be for this job. Other jobs, clearly you need a specialized degree, and it helps. So
Yeah.
it just depends on what it is. Right. You just need to learn, you just need to write as much as possible, because it really helps you. There's so many different things you do in communications, but writing is the most important thing. So the more you write, the better you get at it. It's just good practice. The other thing is reading. Basically read news releases, read newspapers, read how other people are communicating, and you can learn a lot that way too. So reading and writing basically are the best things you can do as communication.